So up to this point, we covered everything that we needed to know about modeling the sanitary pipes, and you should have the sanitary pipes for all the other levels modeled by now. So the first step in modeling the items for a project is modeling these sanitary pipes. Now in this next step, we're going to be modeling the ducts. You see, the ducts are divided into two types, for which we've also considered two separate floor plans. We've got some ventilation ducts. In other words, they are the fresh air ducts or the air returns. And the second type of ducts is for the exhaust ones. For example, we've got the restroom exhausts, exhaust hoods, and finally the exhaust ducts that we need for the parking area. So we're going to go take a look at the plan. We're going to have to go over to the folder in which we had the project files, then to the plans folder. Here it is, plan. And here again, we've got two different groups. One is actually the HVAC ductwork, and the other is called ventilation. Now, in both of these folders, for example, in the ventilation folder, we have the duct plans for each floor. Now, I've already opened all of these plans over here, so we're going to go over to AutoCAD to take a look at them, and then we're going to link the ones we need in Revit. So right now, we are in the roof plan. And if we take a look, we can see that there aren't any ducts, neither is there any equipment. There's just a few ducts over here near the risers, which are actually for the exhaust. So we're going to have to check them in the exhaust plans. So now we're going to head to the lower level, which is the 5th floor. Now, if we zoom in over here, we can see that we've got an air handling unit. And one part of it is going to be covering the return air of this level. And basically what we've got for this duct is this riser over here, which we're going to have to check in case it's for a lower level. This might be a return duct for another. But anyway, we've got the air here returning to the unit, and there's also a supply part, which again it's going to be going through the risers to the lower floors. And then over here there's a branch in this direction, as well as this way and this way. So we're going to have to check all of them and see how they go. For example, I'm going to follow this branch we've got on this upper side, which as you can see, it is leading to the square ceiling air terminals. Now another ventilation item we have in this floor is this fan coil unit we've got over here, which is fed by these air terminals that are connected to it. So the unit combination that we have here is fan coils and the air terminals connected to them. Then we also have the air handling unit, which also has some other terminals connected to itself. Remember that the fan coil units can also lead to plenum boxes, and that means that we might have linear slots like this one, which comes after the plenum box behind it. Now we're going to talk more about them later, and when we get to the modeling process, we're going to see how they are placed. Now let's go take a look in a lower level, going to the 4th floor. And first I'm going to go to that riser I saw in the previous level. And as you can see, here's the riser, and that means the air handling unit of the 5th floor is covering the 4th floor as well. We also have the return duct and the supply duct right next to it. You can also see that the supply ducts are heading into different directions, and another direction is coming down south to cover this area. Let's go to the next level, which is the 3rd floor. And here we can see that this level has its own individual air handling unit. So basically, we've got all these air handling units in every level, and it's not like there's one single unit over at the roof that feeds the lower levels through a riser. So basically, we've got air handling units that cover one or at most two levels, and there are also some fan coil units placed in each level. If we also take a look in the parking levels, for example, I'm going to go to parking 2, which is actually B2 or the second basement, where you can see that we don't have a specific unit or duct for ventilation. We only got a few for the elevator. But overall, we have few ventilation ducts for this parking. For example, I'm going to go over here, click on Open. Then I'm going to go to the Plans folder, go into Ventilation, and I'm going to open the ventilation plan for the B2 level. Click Open. Now, if we look over here, we can see that there are a couple of jet fans, which are actually sucking the air, and then it directs that air this way. So it goes through all of these ducts, then goes this way, There's also some air from the side, and all of that air goes to the riser, then goes all the way up to the roof to discharge. Now, also the same thing goes for the side, where we can see that the air goes through the jet fans, then to the ducts, then through the riser to discharge eventually. Now the thing is that by these jet fans the air is sucked out, so there needs to be something to make up for the lost air and fill this area. For that we have these wall-mounted terminals. As you can see over here, there are several of them, and they also have a riser, so that means that we could check the upper levels, where we might also find some fins that will direct the air back into the parking area. Now when we get to the modeling process, we're going to discuss all of these things when we get to them. What we're about to do right now is we're going to link these plans into Revit. So for example, I'm going to go to the 5th floor, and I'm going to measure something familiar, for example, the width of a wall. So we're going to measure from here to here, then we get 0.29. So we figure that this is probably 29/100th of a meter, so that means the unit is meters. Only we're going to have to also go over here to dimension style, then we're going to click modify, and we're going to check over here in the primary units tab where we can find this scale factor. We could change the scale factor to 1, and basically that'll just omit the scale from the values that we measure. Click OK and OK. And now you can see that the value changed to 10. So that's 10 centimeters. And now we realize that the project unit is in centimeters. So you should always pay attention to the scale factor, because as you can see now the value changed from what it was before because we changed the scale factor. So now I know that I'm going to have to link my plans in centimeters. Therefore I'm going to go over to Revit and have the 5th floor plan for ducts open. Now I'm going to go to the Insert tab, then click on Link CAD. And we're going to go to the folder in which we have the project files. Over here, go into the plans, HVAC ductwork, then select the 5th floor plan. Now we're going to check this current view only box so that this plan will only be linked and visible in this view. Then for the import units, we measured and got centimeters, so we're going to select centimeter. And as for the positioning, we're going to make it center to center. Then click open and wait for the plan to link. Now we're going to have to position the plan exactly in the right place. So we're going to get the align command using the shortcut AL, then select the Revit's A grid, then the A grid from the plan, then horizontally grid 1 from Revit, and then grid 1 from the plan. And this way we adjust the position of the link. Then we could also select the plan and pin it to make sure it doesn't move around by mistake. So we're just going to repeat the same process for all the other plans, and we're going to have to link all of them into their corresponding views.